I do agree with Amira because to an extent, when she said that men don't want women, they have to check. We had talked about this on this podcast before. Men, like at a certain age, is like, I don't want to have to come into the relationship checking you, and I think that's the reason why Brittany don't like that word checking, because usually, even when the term is used in other settings, it's really more so like I have to check, like I have to get it, like you piss me off type checking, like you're being disrespectful type checking. But if we're gonna, for tonight's definition, I do agree that check men do the checking and everybody respect it. This is just not with men and women. Men, when a woman trying to get the kids under control and we can't, the man come in there, he don't even have to raise his voice. He just like sit down, check, even if it's not a consequence after that. And the reason why is because a consequence wasn't needed for the behavior to change. Now if the behavior is not changing, of course there's consequences, but when we're talking about grown people, certain age, maturity, this usually happens in the dating stage. And the reason why we date in America is because we're not all under the same religion, background, education. It's not mirrored. It's a lot of diversity here. So when we're getting to know each other, especially in the Black community, because everybody know we lack fathers, there's things that we're doing wrong that we come off as masculine. We've seen it on the podcast. It's a few people on the podcast who had to check me when I get too loud, when I'm over talking, um, when I go too far. Like the men have to tell me, like, "Hey, damn it, you gotta calm down, take a breath. It's okay. We're not here to hurt you." Like they have to check me, and it's not necessary. And they're not disrespectful when they do it either. I have to check my friends sometimes. It's just checking is holding you accountable. And I do agree. Sometimes if the behavior is happening over and over again, then okay, now we need consequences because now you're acting like a child. So now we can't just communicate about this. Now I'm going to have to take action. But I don't think consequence is needed for every check. I do feel like when you're an adult, you should be able to have that conversation and, talk about it.
On me. Pull up. Ouch.
And I'm sorry, y'all, and I agree with you, Di. I don't want to go down that rabbit hole because it really is just a play on words. I just want to really challenge people to think about the term check. Typically, check has a negative connotation. It means you're putting somebody in their place, but it's a negative thing. Whereas redirection and correction is oftentimes done in love. You know what I mean? It's like, that's all I'm saying. I think we're all saying the same thing too, just to point out. It's just the connotation, you know, associated
Well,
with check is
well,
usually
no,
negative.
it's
Yeah, but not every
it's
situation is going to be the same, right? There are going to be moments where conversations or things happen where it's a very calm and relaxed kind of setting, and it's like, hey, like I noticed that you keep on doing this thing that we spoke about a month ago, and you continue on doing it. I'm trying to understand why you're doing that. I thought we talked about this. I told you that it bothers me because of X, Y, and Z, and you still continue to do it, and I want to know why. And then there are other examples where there's times of desperation. There might be something much more dire, and kind of checking the person sounds a little bit more aggressive because of the circumstance that is presented, right? Every situation is not the same. I think more people are focused on the tonality and the delivery rather than understanding that it's coming from a place of endearment from the person that cares about you.
so would the term putting your foot down would is that softer?
I mean, putting your foot down doesn't have a negative connotation like check does. I mean, I'm just from the era of, oh, he checked your ass, she checked your ass. You know, like that's just negative. It's not, oh, I don't know.
I mean, but
It's not what you all are making it out to be.
I
well,
So
go ahead, True.
I think that this is great that we're talking about this. I think that sometimes, since we're predominantly dealing with our community, it would serve us really, really well to communicate with other people outside of our community because we are very hypersensitive as people. There's
Mhm.
absolutely nothing wrong with being checked. Men are checked by women. When we approach you, if we don't know you and we don't come across correctly, you guys check us. We don't cry about it.
Mhm.
It's a natural exchange of humans. And I don't know why sometimes in our community, especially our women, they're so sensitive. They act like Black men are just so, aggressive or harmful or all these things that we're not. And it's kind of disturbing, especially even up to this point.
Mhm.
In my opinion, women need to be trained. Amira kind of touched on it. The training was supposed to already happen. By the time I'm interacting with you, if I'm acting or interacting with a woman that I assume, you should already be on a level to where you understand certain things you need to process. You need to have a filter. Certain things you wouldn't say to me. Go ahead, Luis.
I have a question. I know I've been out of grad school for a while, and do they still offer etiquette classes at the collegiate level? Like, like dining etiquette, like just a bunch of interact, like there's a whole thing. I don't know if they still offer those types of things or those things have shifted off into the
They've changed
sunset.
it. They've changed it to different schools. They've moved it to a private sector now. But they used to offer them, but now they don't.
So it's no longer in the public sector per se, but in the private sector, it's something that they offer, right? Okay. I suspect that outside of the collegiate level, there are companies who offer these types of services or classes or courses. And if that is the case, I'm sure they do. I don't know offhand. I would think that that is a very valuable investment, right? Um, just like $150 Beyonce tickets. So I encourage people to invest in themselves and invest in a course. Trust me, it will go a long way if you could do it.
Hold on, y'all. I want the Truth Table to go ahead and finish this point. I think you might have some more stuff to say. I was enjoying that perspective. Go ahead, Drew.
No, I was just saying, like, I appreciate Brittany bringing it to the forefront as far as the word, because I've had tons of interactions where certain words, like even saying trained, seems to, aggravate the demons that are in the emotional world of some women that you're speaking to. But I think that it would serve most women to ask more questions, because if you ask questions, it can expand upon what that man may mean. And a lot of times the interactions that our women are having tend to be, unfortunately, not developed, not mature. A man is a regulator. Men are regulators. This is what we do. So if there ever is an address, tone or any type of approach to something, it's probably something that he either perceived that you're doing incorrectly. He may inquire. A check cannot always necessarily be a inflection in tone. He may ask, yo, why do you do that? To expand upon the conversation. And what it's supposed to do, ultimately, is supposed to have you see yourself and then hopefully see yourself through his eyes.